Tap water is an absolute no-no. You want to interact with tap water as little as humanly possible. People are like, Chris, you're going to kill yourself. You can't drink distilled water. And I'm like, what? Yes, yes, you can. You can.
What are the three things you wish you had known sooner?
If I would have known the power of fasting, I mean, oh my God, so many people, special people to me passed, they could still be here.
How do you know you're eating enough? And like, if you, for instance, if you're just eating, like, I get a big watermelon, right? And I chop it up and I'm eating it throughout the day. Do you need additional water when you hydrating with the watermelons, or is that enough? Like, how do you know you've had enough water?
It's a difficult question because everybody their physiology is a little different. People's diets are different. You know, there's a lady, I can't remember her name, but she'll say if you eat a pizza, make sure you have an apple too. You know,
Mhm.
the problem is the balance. If you drink coffee, if you drink tea, or you drink alcohol, these are diuretics. You're probably going to need more water than somebody who does not drink diuretics or consume diuretics. So it's really like one of them things where you have to take responsibility yourself and just kind of like you have to learn your body. And this is something else that I like to teach. So the way that I teach people is not the traditional, you have to do XYZ because everybody's the same. And of course you need to do this. And this is how you're going to experience it. Like it's just not true. There's really no blanket way to say, hey, this is how you're going to know. There's always telltale signs of somebody being dehydrated, but that sometimes with those signs it's like too late, like you're like severely dehydrated at this point. If you're mildly dehydrated, or if you're so out of tune with your body you just don't even know what dehydration is, it can be very hard to know. So the way that I teach people is just develop habits where you consume hydrating, high water content foods. Like, make that your intention to consume high water content foods. I usually recommend a gallon of water a day. A lot of people are going to have pushback. Chris, that's too much water, da 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 da. The body can handle it. When it becomes a problem is if you're going to drink a gallon of water, like right now, like I'm going to just sit here and just drink a gallon of water. But if you spread it out all day long, the body can handle that. I usually will tell people don't drink more than 16 ounces per hour, right? So you don't want to just be guzzling water. That's not good. But if you spread it out, you eat your fruits and vegetables, and you're intentional about staying away from, the diuretics, then over time you will become more hydrated. But I mean, we're severely dehydrated. So it's like it's the least of my worries for people to become overhydrated, you know? Um, but the body has many ways of releasing excess water. It'll release it right through the skin. If it has too much water, just release it.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, okay. One way to know that you are reaching better hydration levels, or maybe a couple different ways, better sleep. Your sleep will improve. If you are doing a weight loss regimen, you're probably going to see more weight loss. You're going to see better energy. You're going to see better clarity. Depending on the types of diseases and things you might be dealing with, you might get a little bit clearer eyesight. Um, you know, your body odor may decrease. You know what I mean? You might have better dreams, right? Maybe you was having nightmares before. Your dreams improve. Your sexual maybe call it libido or sexual prowess or just desire will strengthen. There's a lot of different ways that you could tell that you're hydrating better because it really helps holistically, you
Yeah.
know. But it's one of them things where it's a process, and people are going to experience. I experienced very unique things on my wellness journey when it comes to water versus other people. Like one of the people that I interact with, he's a friend of mine. His name is Patrick, and he has a company called the Wellness Enterprise. So I would ask him, I'm like, yo, Patrick, I'm using this, I'm doing this water, I'm experiencing this. He'd be like, wow, I've never heard that before. Right. Like it wasn't something that he would commonly hear. So I was experiencing very unique things as I was better hydrating
Mhm.
compared to what he had heard. So if you're focusing on hydration and you're seeing improvements in your life, it's probably because you're hydrating better.
Yeah, it's a
I
great.
had a friend. Sorry, I just
No, go
wanted to
ahead.
tell this one. I had a friend who was she was dealing with like severe migraines, and I mean it was just it would not go away. It wasn't like 3 days, 4 days, it was weeks, just would not go away. She couldn't go to work, she couldn't go outside because if she go out inside in the sun, she'd like get dizzy and throw up. It was bad. I said, do a gallon of distilled water every day for the next 2 weeks. This was this was really early on. This was before I understood hydrating with fruit and vegetables. Um, and she said after 2 days she was surprised because her energy was so high. Because I told her she's got to stop drinking caffeine, and
Mm.
she would drink coffee all the time. So she was surprised at how high her energy was. Um, Also, the headaches, the migraines had started to dull, and by 6 days in, they were completely gone. She was like, I'm sleeping better. My skin, something's going on with my skin, Chris. I don't know. It's dewy. It's like glowing. She was like, I know you told me to do this for 14 days. I'm doing it for 30. You know,
That's
all she
awesome.
did was stop taking caffeine. I think I told her to stop eating like Cheetos and stuff. She was like eating something weird like that, and drink the gallon of water. And that was it.
Mhm. Yeah, you make some great points with the water. I know a lot of people just overcomplicate it. Like, do I put electrolytes? How much do I drink? Do I drink this? You have to become intuitive with your body. Like you
Mm-hmm.
said, everyone is different. Your activity level is different, your stress level. I mean, your body size. Like, go by how you feel. Like, if you feel like crap, you feel tired, you probably need more water. Um, and I know people have a question about this. So, in addition to the fruits and vegetables, you also drink a gallon of distilled water, approximately. That's in
Yes,
addition to the fruits and vegetables, right?
I mean, it's evolved a lot. When I very first started, yes, I was doing a gallon of distilled water every day. I probably did that consistently for like 2.5, 3 years. Part of the reason why I was so consistent is because I got so much pushback. People were like, Chris, you're going to kill yourself. You can't drink distilled water. And I'm like, what? Yes, you can. You can drink distilled water. Um, so I would, I'm always out to prove things. That's just I like proving stuff. So I did it consistently. And then I realized that as my diet started to be more consistent, because it took me a year to really like fall into my new diet. Um, so then after that, I realized, oh, I don't really need this gallon of water anymore. And that was just like an intuitive thing. So I just incrementally decreased the water intake based on how well I was maintaining my diet. The more fruits, vegetables, smoothies, and juice I was doing, the less water I would take. Because you can, and we have done this experiment as well. You can just drink juice. And I'm not saying any old kind of juice, and I'm not saying just sweet juice, but what I'm saying is the liquid that can be extracted from a plant, you could just drink that if you wanted to, or you could just get it from eating if you wanted to, if you understand how to do it. You don't actually have to take water, H2O by mouth.
Mm. I know you discussed this in one of your videos too. Are there certain types of waters that you do not recommend drinking to hydrate?
Yeah, I mean, you know, everybody's situation's different. But what I'm going to say is, typically tap water is an absolute no-no. You want to interact with tap water as little as humanly possible, because if you live in any modern society that has tap water virtually, you're talking any pharmaceuticals that go into the water system. I mean, how much of that is actually getting removed before it's recirculated back to you? So now you're getting low doses of all different types of pharmaceuticals, birth controls, um, you know,
Fluoride.
then on top of that, I mean, that's just one small layer of it. Then on top of that, you have any toxic material that's dumped into the ground that seeps into the water. Um, then you've got the heavy metals from the just the piping, the way the water is being
Mm-hmm.
moved, and then in America you've got fluoride in the water. So there are chemicals and things that they're actively putting in the water. So tap water, in my opinion, is just an absolute no-no. You do the best you can, right? If you know, it took me years before I could actually upgrade my system in my house so that my water in my house was purified. And it's expensive, but you need to understand the benefit. You need to understand the importance, and then you got to make the investment. You know, so tap water would be an absolute no-no. Um, I really tell people stay away from alkaline water too. It's just a scam. It's a
Mm-hmm.
scam that I fell into when I very first started, dealing with water. um they're gonna put something in the water to artificially alkalize it. Is it good for you? Is it bad for you? It's probably not good for you. Probably not. I think Dasani just got sued because they were found that they were just filtering tap water.
Mm-hmm.
um these companies, people have to understand who's regulating these companies. Who is saying, okay, Dasani is saying that this is water from the French Alps or whatever, and who's saying, yes, that's actually, who's verifying that? Like,
Mm-hmm.
if the company gets caught lying, all they do is get a fine. If I can make $1 billion off of a product and my fine is 20 million, I'll make my billion and lie. Because the fine is only 20, and that's only when you catch me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. I would also I don't really have a big problem with this, but I would, if you're focused on hydration and health and wellness, I would stay away from carbonated waters. You know, a little bit here and there is fine, but some people will ask me, can I fast and use, this carbonated water?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I'm not a fan of it. It's not a hard stance, but I just figured I'd mention it. Just not personally a big fan of the carbonated water. But other
There
than that,
any reason like for not wanting like are you talking about like flavor like LaCroix or like just plain sparkling water?
well, yeah, I mean, I teach a very large group, right? So when you give someone an inch, they take a mile. So if I
Mm-hmm.
say, yeah, if I say sparkling water is fine, people are gonna be like, okay, cool. Now we're talking flavors, we're talking dyes, we're talking additives, and all that comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, even with the plain sparkling water, the only reason why I tell people no is because it makes you gassy. Sometimes the gas can help you, right? You don't feel good, you have a hangover, you want to burp, whatever. But me personally, if it's making you gassy, I'm like, you don't want to do that. Um, Beans, for example, there's an old saying, beans, good for the heart. The more you eat, the more you fart. Beans make a lot of people gassy.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but we all tout beans as this amazing thing. It's great, superfood, whatever. But it makes you gassy, so probably shouldn't be eating beans. It's I We have to take, like, there's science to prove everything. Whatever
Mm-hmm.
narrative you want to paint, there's science to prove it. What we have to do is look at our own body. It's got to be a one-on-one conversation. Okay, when I drink this, it makes me gassy. Okay, I probably shouldn't do it. It's that simple. I'm not saying it's going to kill you. I'm not saying it's going to mess your fast up. It's just like, when I think about what's optimal, I think of things extremely simple. Does it make me feel good? Does it make me feel gassy? Does it give me a weird heart thing or whatever? And if it does, then I'll just say no, not while you're fasting.
Makes sense.
Yeah. But that's like I said, that's a soft stance. If somebody wants to do it, I would definitely say, you know, pure, clean, do your best to research, maybe figure out where they're getting their water from, and
Mhm.
how maybe what's how they're carbonating it and things of that nature.
Well, yeah, thanks for touching on this because there's so much confusion about some of the water and what to drink, what not to drink. But I 100% agree with you on top water. And I know some people can argue, well, I live in a place where we get well water or whatever. Like it's still toxic. It's still the way it's delivered. Try to stay away from it. And our bodies are composed of what, 60 to 70% of water, depending on your size. And you want to put the best quality water in your body because it's composed of, your brain, even like your blood flow, your everything. So
Everything.
you want to invest. It's not an expense, it's an investment in you and your health. Stop looking at it as it's expensive. It's an investment. So
And the benefits, I mean, if you remember, like, they're infinite, really. Like, whatever you're dealing with, whether it is depression or heart disease, like a better quality water, like a truly
mhm,
better quality water, is going to help. Like, it's going to make your life better. So, um it can't be overstated. Water is one of those things that is so important, and yet nobody is really talking about it like the way it should be. Like, literally, I told you, my friend, like, if she would have went to the doctor, what would they have done? Like, what kind of chemicals would they done? What kind of tests? What kind
yeah.
of radiation would she be exposed to? Like, what type of trauma would her body have been put through? And all she needed was water.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Simple stuff, yeah. So,
Simple.
going back, and this was going to be one of my questions, and I'm just actually just thinking about it right now. For someone that has no idea where to start, they're like unhealthy, they're obese, they've been eating junk. Like, where do you start? Like, this is a great start. Like, where's your water come from? How much are you drinking? You don't have to like wipe off everything and change everything in your life because you will definitely fail. But
Mm,
making that really small change and investing in a good quality water, structured water, uh, and drinking more, hydrating. And I mean that it can be as simple as that for someone that is just has no idea where to start, right?
yeah. Yeah, not it's here's the funny thing, and this is why I look at it as a wellness journey. Um, if you start with water and you dive deep, no pun intended, but you take that deep dive, then automatically through that process, now you're processing information more clearly. It's gonna help remove mucus. It's going to help eliminate brain fog. You're going to become more sharp, and there is a natural inclination to be healthy. And the reason why we are so disconnected is from the foods we're eating and everything, right? So as you start to drink more water, well, number one, a lot of the hunger we deal with is dehydration. So you're going to eat less. So you're going to start losing weight. You're going to think more clearly, and you're going to have a desire to want to do better.
Mhm.
It might be mild or it might be more, extreme depending on the person, but it'll be there. So if you could just commit to just the water part, it's almost instinctual that you will start building in other areas,
Mhm.
which are going to improve your wellness as well.
Yeah, you're gonna make better choices because you feel a little bit better. And then next time, maybe instead of reaching for French fries, you might reach for, I don't know, a cup of fruit or a cup of vegetables or something. You just naturally gonna want more things that bring you vitality and energy
Mhm.
because of just that small shift. So yeah, it doesn't have to be anything drastic. It can start with better water, just like a simple step, and just implementing that into your lifestyle so it becomes your lifestyle, not just a temporary, like, okay, I'm gonna drink this for now so I can lose weight. No, it has to
Mhm.
become your lifestyle. And that's the whole process of becoming healthier, that whole health journey. It has to become your lifestyle, your identity. And when that identity shifts too, and I've seen that in me, like for instance, if you are an athlete, right? I'm gonna use like an extreme measure. Like if you're an athlete, rest in peace, let's say Kobe Bryant, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you have that identity of one of the, best basketball players and whatever, right? You're not going to choose, you can choose, make different choices with food, with alcohol, with the activities, the
Yeah.
people you surround yourself. So when you shift that identity, when you're like, no, I'm not an obese, sedentary person, when you start shifting into that new person that you're becoming, you're going to make better choices. You're going to choose things that are creating that identity.
That's
That's
100% right. But and this goes back to, it's almost full circle. This goes back to what we were talking about earlier about really just being able to maintain, not yo-yoing. Uh, it becomes drastically easier when you approach it this way, because if your goal is to maintain your current lifestyle and just try to fix this and that, you're essentially setting yourself up for failure. You're going to get some benefit from it, sure, but it's going to be temporary. It's not going to make an impact on your lifespan.
yeah.
And me personally, and I know this isn't everybody's goal, but I think as you get healthier, it becomes their goal. But like, I want greater lifespan and greater quality of life, because you got to think, in our world, we work. Most people are working till they die now. There isn't even retirement for a lot of people now. Um, but imagine if you could spend, 50, 65 years working, build up a legacy for yourself, right? Something that you can use to pass on as well as enjoy life. And instead of dying 10 years later, you got another 30 years to enjoy it. And I'm not
Mhm.
talking about just surviving on life support and stuff. I'm talking about, you can go to the beach, you could travel with your family, you can go parasailing without having to worry about your heart,
Yeah.
right? Like, if you make the investment in yourself now, it's not even just about, looking good now, and not, not being, breathing hard and being able to find that person you want to be with right now. When you think about your life 50 years from now, one thing that I started to realize as I was learning about like the body, I was like, man, where did we get the idea that we have to be old to die? Meaning, like, what you perceive as old age, wrinkles, hunchback, heart problems, breathing tubes. Who said we have to get to that point before we die? Why can't we just pass? Right? Like, why do we have to be bedridden and heart attacks and comas and all of this stuff? Because that's not how it happens to animals. Like, if you look at nature, which I think
Mhm.
nature is really what, it really shows you everything you need to know. An animal just kind of goes to sleep one day and that's
Yeah.
it. I mean, he might slow down a little bit before, right? He might get a couple gray hairs here and there, but it's not the way that we die.
Mhm.
So,
And especially with our sick care versus healthcare, we live in a sick
yeah,
care is not a healthcare, and I work in healthcare, unfortunately. But we, we do have more means of like prolonging our life, but that life is, the quality of that life is crap. I'd rather die 20 years late earlier than be bedridden or not be able to enjoy my life, have the vitality, be able to walk from here to here and not need like, like a cane or something, and I'm not, saying that there's anything wrong with that. But if you do take care of your health, like Chris James said, you will be able to live longer and more vital. You're going to be able to enjoy that life instead of just looking forward or not looking forward to this being sick or
right.
yeah. It's a very, very good point. And another thing that just kind of popped into my head, speaking of the creating identity, just like creating the good identity, also be very careful when you create the negative identity. Like, for instance, let's say I procrastinated this week. I just had a busy day and I procrastinated. Well, I just procrastinated, but now I did it again and again. And now I've become the procrastinator. So when you embody that identity, you do more of that because it is your identity. I am a procrastinator. I am depressed. No, you had a situation. You were sad. You were going through stuff. You're not a depressed person. And that's all it takes sometimes, just snapping out of like, you don't embody that identity, the negative identity that you might create sometimes. I'm obese, I'm this, I've never been able to lose weight. That is the lies that we tell ourselves, and that can be changed. Anyone can change that identity.
Oh man, you nailed it. That is, okay, so I'm like a researcher at heart. Before it was like health and wellness, I was very much so into finances. And during that time, I studied highly successful people, millionaires, multimillionaires. Their self-talk is worlds different from like the average person. Like the way that they talk to themselves is so empowering, so encouraging, and so uplifting. The best example I can give is really how Kanye talks about himself. Like, the way that Kanye West talks about himself out loud is the way that highly successful people talk to themselves internally. They just maybe are a little bit more tactful. They don't like just say it. But that's one of the reasons why Kanye is so freaking successful. They all have this habit. And if you want, and this goes back to community and determining the type of person that you want to be and who do you need to be around and what kind of habits you need to take on. But highly successful people have amazing self-talk and affirmations. And it's going to be uncomfortable because every aspect of this is uncomfortable at first. If you go back to when you're 3 to 4 years old or whatever, and you're learning how to tie your shoe for the first time, it is the most frustrating thing ever for a little 3, 4-year-old trying to tie their shoe, the bunny loops, and you think you got it, and then it unravels. But now, as adults, we tie our shoe. You don't even remember tying your shoe this morning,
yes,
right?
I don't. Yeah.
So that, and it's the same. It's the same. The habits and the things that you got to develop. That's why lifestyle is so important, because when you start developing those habits, you just do it automatically. It's not a thing anymore. And what it allows you to do is you've created this amazing foundation that supports you, and now you can go higher. You can start building the second story and the third story. And what are those stories? What are those? There's different chapters of your life, better relationships, better financial status, the ability to travel, right? And so on and so forth, whatever it is you kind of want. So that cannot be understated. And I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah, that I am statement, it is everything.
It's everything. I would not be where I am today had I not really learned that, honed in on it, and intentionally practiced it.
Yes.
Right. And it's so emotional sometimes too. Like, if you create a affirmation, I love myself, I am worthy, I'm grateful, I'm thankful. You start creating these affirmations, these things that you don't really believe. And you start saying it to yourself in the mirror. You look yourself in the mirror, you look yourself in the eyes, and you start saying it to yourself. It will evoke emotion in you. And you'll be like, where is this coming from? But it's because we are not our bodies. Our bodies are vehicles that our energetic, consciousness uses in order to traverse this world, this 3D world, which is amazing. It's a great experience. But you got to think about the entire world that is your body, right? The cells and all the microorganisms. They say that there's more microorganisms in the human body than there are human cells. And when you're talking to your partner. You're telling your partner, I love you, I appreciate you, like all of the work that you're doing. I notice it, and I'm thankful. And those cells will react. Like I can I wish I could just get people to like just know this, because there's a lot to understand this, but the cells in your body are not just these random, um, unintelligent.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, they're all
imagine
connected. It's an
it's
energy. It's here. It's here. It's everything is connected. You're not like a separate functions. Everything is the whole thing. And when you said we're not our bodies, that's 100% true. Well, because we are. It starts here. We are our thoughts. What we think, our bodies, our cells become. And even like when they talk about like reversing certain diseases, like the remissions, right? Spontaneous remissions. Like
Yep.
people think it's like crazy, like voodoo stuff. It's not. It actually happens. People can
Yeah.
heal things that you never would think about. So, oh yeah, this is so powerful.
Very.
And again, another little thing you can do is, yes, you can do the water, right? But you can wake up in the morning, and I do this every single day. I have a routine. I get up and I actually say it out loud. I am whatever the statement is that day. And it sometimes
Mhm.
changes. Some
Mhm.
days I'm this, some days I'm like, whatever, like I come up with some creative words for myself,
Yeah.
and then I laugh, and then I just move and do whatever it is that I do in the morning. But you
Mhm.
have to get in that routine, because when you change that physiology, those thoughts, like your body, it changes. Everything changes in your life. And it sounds so simple and so like whatever, that's not gonna do anything. Just try it, but do it consistently. Don't just do it
Yeah.
today and then forget about it. Do it like a week later. Do it
Mhm.
consistently and really believe in it. Because if you say, "Oh, I am beautiful," or "I'm smart," but you're like, "But I'm a dumbass. I can't even do," that's not gonna work, right? You actually have to
Right. It's not gonna
believe
work.
it. You have to believe that you are like, I am kind, I am capable, this whatever it is. Like, you have to believe it and embody this personality, this identity that you're creating for yourself. Be like that 4-year-old child that is not afraid of anything. They can go and dance in front of like hundreds and thousands of people, and they don't care. They don't care what this
Care.
person thinks. They don't care. They just are who they are, just pure. They're yeah, we need to be more like children. Going back to
Yeah.
that, yes. So
Well, that's, I mean, that was that, that's what's stripped away from us very early on for a very good reason. If you want a population of people that are subservient, you remove their creativity, you remove their critical thinking ability, you pit them against each other. Everything that's being done to us in modern society, um, is there's a there's a strategy. It's very tactful. And if people out there want to understand the power of the mind a little bit better, I mean, you could research the nocebo effect and the placebo effect, right?
mhm,
These are pretty well documented. I think most people will accept the documentation and the clinical trials and just the experimentation that's been done. That's one way to do it. But the reality is, whether you believe you can or can't, both are true.
100%, 100%.
Like it's up to you.
Yeah, I agree. Like mic drop, one after another. Chris James, I love it. Like I wasn't sure what we're gonna talk about today. I usually let my stuff just like come in whatever we
Hmm.
discuss. So I kind of like how this took this kind of turn into the whole like mindset and stuff. It's not just fasting, like it's all interconnected. But if you're sitting out there, you're one of those people, you just you're like, you have given up, you don't know what to do, you've tried everything. Don't give up. Just try this. Try embodying this self. I am happy. I am happy. I am grateful. Like those words are so powerful. And when you say it, like it shift, like even for me, it shifts my energy. I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, I am. So don't give up, and don't just think it's like nothing. It is a lot. It has absolutely, the last 6 years shifted me as a person, change
Mm.
how I think and how I do things. And It's a game changer, 100%. Real quick before we go to like my last question that I have for you, I know we started with the whole prep, how you do a week prep, the hydrating with vegetables, juices, and good water, structured water. Is there anything else that you do, or you have your community do before they start a fast to kind of help transition to that?
Yeah. For when I do like group coaching, I'll usually stick to the frequency, the quality. So what I like to do is move people away from like meats, dairy products, processed foods, and refined sugars when we're preparing for a fast.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the animal products, um, a lot of people give me pushback on that. But the reason why I do it is just because of it's the level of toxicity in the products. I'm not saying that they're inherently bad, because a lion eats meat every day and lions are very healthy, very strong, right? But when you think about the processing of our animals, that's the big difference. We're not catching wild animals and things of that nature. Plus, it could be very difficult for the body to digest these products when our digestive system and our body is already low functioning, right? It's not like we're in optimal peak health. So the easier it is for your body to digest, the better as it relates to prep. So we do encourage to move away from those products, and then I think you had mentioned we move into like a juice fast, just to get you off of solid food and get your body used to liquid. And then also during that time when you're doing the juice, there's a 12-hour window before you're going to begin your fast where the body's going to start dumping sugar. So it really helps with the initial shock of fasting, when you kind of create this gradient for yourself. Now, on a challenge or something like that we host, we'll typically encourage people to use certain supplements depending on the type of challenge we're doing and the outcome that we want to achieve. So there's a company that we're affiliated with. There's two companies we're affiliated with. We've got doTERRA, which is where we get our essential oils, which, I mean, essential oils are just incredible. Like, I only learned about the essential oils maybe like 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago, and I've been blown away. I have story after story. Like, the oils, when you learn them and how they work, they can essentially replace your medicine cabinet. So I think that if you're looking to switch to healthy alternatives, um, you know, you have a headache, you could take a Tylenol, or you could use some frankincense.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or some lavender. And not only are you going to get the benefit of reducing that headache, but then there's no negative side effects. And also, every oil has like all these other great benefits. So you might notice something else something that's going away, or whatever, from using it. Plus, they smell great. Then the
Yes.
other company that we're affiliated with is called the Root Wellness brand, and um we will typically tell people, okay, they have what's called the Trinity Kit, which comes with Clean Slate. Clean Slate's my favorite product, and what that is a heavy metal detox. It's the only really good heavy metal detox, organic heavy metal detox that I have found. I'm not saying it's the only one out there, but it's very, very effective. So basically, it removes contamination from your body. So when we start fasting, when we start eating well, we're doing all these things that are good for us. This product removes all of the hindrances, and helps you absorb better. And then it also comes with some really, really cool one is called Restore. It's for the gut. So this is going to help to restore the microbiome. Those
Are you taking
microorganisms.
those supplements during the fast or after you finish, or when you're prepping? When are you taking those supplements?
We typically, it depends on what protocol we're working on, but you can take them in preparation for the fast, or you could take them with the fast itself. It just depends. But what we have found is that they won't take you out of ketosis. So the greatest benefits of fasting are still there. And then of course you still get the benefit of whatever the product is designed to do as well. And of course we only deal with, you know, high quality natural organic products. So um yeah, the last one is called clean zero in. Zero in is crazy because it's basically like the limitless pill, if you've ever seen that movie Limitless.
Yeah.
uh yeah, it
Yeah.
just it boosts your focus, your clarity of mind. It increases the body's ability to manufacture serotonin production, dopamine production, melatonin production. It helps with
Awesome.
memory and things. It's crazy.
I'll have to check this out, and I'm sure we can access all the resources through your Instagram on your website there, the healthyalternative.org, your website.
Yeah. Yep. Instagram should have, if you go to my bio, it'll have links to like pretty much everything. Also when we do challenges, you'll be able to find the link, the registration link there. Um, yeah.
Awesome.
One other thing that we talk about that I'd like for people to know about is called a liver and gallbladder flush.
Mm,
So the liver is, in my opinion, one of the most important organs when it relates to detoxification of the body. Also, it's, you know, it's going to separate the good from the bad in your blood. So it's going to play a major role in your overall health and wellness. I think that's why the liver is such a dominant organ. So keeping your liver vitalized is important, and we actually use the liver and gallbladder flush by Andreas Moritz. Um, and it's a 5-day process. So sometimes during some challenges, we will take our community through that that liver
mhm.
prep as well. And I mean, once again, this is going to help with everything. You if you're building up the liver, I mean, you're hitting everything.
Yeah.
It's just, it impacts everything. So it's one of the other things we regularly talk about. And that's usually a prep we do before the
Awesome.
fast.
Well, I love it. So definitely, if you want to check out any of the resources that we mentioned during this, the prep, how Chris James does it with his team and his community, of course, go to his Instagram, a.healthy.alternative.
Hmm.
My last question, I've enjoyed this chat. Like I could talk to you forever. There's so much we have in common. I love your mindset, how you think, your energy, and just how much you have helped others through transforming, starting those little steps and just believing that they can do it, they can feel better and be healthy. So thank you for doing what you're doing. We need more people like you.
My
Um,
pleasure.
my last question that I like to ask everyone, this is one of my favorite questions, is what are the 3 things you wish you had known sooner when it comes to anything in your life? Could be relationships, health, finances, whatever it is. Like 3 things that you wish you had known sooner.
I struggle with this. Um,
Because you got like 100 things. No, I'm just kidding.
yes, but also because like I'm like, man, but I wouldn't change it though. Like I got to be able to know the 3 things, but also
Yeah.
still know the struggle. Um, but anyway, if I could have known, hmm, I guess I the power of fasting. It's such a prominent thing in my life. If I
Mhm.
would have known the power of fasting, I mean, oh my God, so many people, special people to me passed. Um, and I know through just fasting, they could still be here,
Mm,
right? Because we have a lot of deaths that happen from people just diseases and they die. It doesn't have to, it's not, you didn't get hit by a bus, you didn't get stabbed, you didn't get shot. It's like you just poor habits.
mm.
So fasting will be one. Um, how to build and maintain healthy credit would be another one. Uh,
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. I
Mm.
mean, financial health is it's part of it too, in my opinion.
Yes.
People do some really messed up things because they're not in good financial standing, and understanding how credit works, especially as a young man, can completely alter
Mm.
your life and the generations to come. So
Mm.
that will be another thing. And then I think the last thing that was really impactful for me was um, being able to hear God. And What I mean by that is when I was younger, I think I mentioned, I was raised traditional Baptist, and I always was lit. I was always trying to figure out, like, how do people keep talking about they're hearing God's voice? Like, I don't hear anything ever. And through this journey of this wellness journey, I learned to hear the answers. And it comes in a voice that sounds like the voice that's in your head, and it's really about asking the right questions and being open to receiving the answer,
Mhm.
typically in a way that you don't expect. Not like, hey, Chris, this is God. This is what I need you to do. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
never going to be that. It's going to be a random thought. When I
Mm.
say random, I mean I was not on this course of thought, and now all of a sudden I am. What is that? Why am I thinking about that?
Mhm.
And you follow that thought down that rabbit hole, and now you get to your answer. Um, Being more intentional and observant about nature, and not I think in modern times we look at nature as like our plaything. It's like we do whatever we want. We go out, we cut a tree down, whatever. We burn this up. We pour gasoline here. We toxified air. We spray our, like, we don't care. It's just our playground. It's trash. We don't care. And being able to understand that cutting that tree down has a direct impact on me. you
Mm.
know like killing that animal or whatever the case may be has a direct impact on me. And so understanding that connection was important for me, for how I move now. um how I interact. Like, I go out of my way to look for glass. This is a copper container. 7 years ago, this would be plastic. It'd be a plastic
Mm.
water bottle. Understanding that by supporting the businesses that manufacture this plastic that doesn't decompose, and things leach into you, and all this stuff that comes along with it. It's like, nah, just use copper. It's natural. It enriches the water. It's better for you. So those would be the three things.
I love it. And just with your last thing that you mentioned, sometimes we feel like, oh, it's not a big deal. I can just use this plastic right now. Like when every person makes an impact, they call it the butterfly effect, right? Like you can have one butterfly and bunch of like hundreds and thousands of butterfly can change the weather. So like if you feel like, just by doing one little thing yourself is not going to change things, it does. Every person makes an impact. So it's how you treat people. You leave that, when you're kind to others, that person takes that kindness and is kind to somebody else. When you choose,
Yep.
glass over plastic or a copper, whatever it is, you saving maybe trees, maybe saving other things, and you're preventing diseases in your body. So everything you do has an impact, not just on you, but also people around you. So be very careful the choices you make. And, I like that you mentioned the whole like God topic, because I also, back in my younger days, I was like, how do people talk about like they can hear God? And in my later years, in my 30s and mid 20s, I figured out that it's really when you become very spiritual. And that's sometimes people are like, well, what is that? When you are intuitive, you allow things to come into your mind. Because when you live in that fear, it's like, oh, I don't know, I don't, like, you can't be open to receiving
Mm-hmm.
if you're blocked by that fear. And so that's been a big shift in me too. I trust, when you're connected and you're spiritual and you trust a higher purpose, whatever it is, if you have Allah, whatever else as your God, when you trust that process and something higher power, and you're connected to it, you will get those answers. You
Yep.
will get those things, those dots will connect, because the universe brings you more of the things that you hold close to your heart or in your mind. So I love that you mentioned that as well, because I have certainly experienced a big shift in my own spiritual journey. So it's been amazing. But thank you so much for your time. Like we, gosh, I don't even know how long we talked, but it's awesome. I knew that people will get so much value out of this, your journey, the passion you have about all of this, not just fasting, but just the whole picture. So I appreciate you. Thank you for your time. And I look forward to connecting with you in the near future.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. And I would say that I think you probably need to come on my channel and share a little bit of your journey with our community. So I'm going to extend that for you to come and hang out with us for a little bit.